Hello, everyone. This is Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Welcome to This Week in Bitcoin. What a week it was. Today is December the 22nd, 2017. Strong hand. Oh, yeah, that's the theme of the last few days. And I know a lot of you had strong hands. I hope no one had a weak hand. We're going to discuss this. It was such a big week. We were at almost 20,000 at the beginning. We almost hit 10,000 yesterday. What a wild ride. It's predictable, though. This is Bitcoin. Every week is bigger than the next. But we needed 4 men on the panel. 4 real, strong American men to take on this week. So we got Rocky out there in California. We got Cory out in Colorado. We got Daniel in, I think you're in New York now. And Shayne is in Washington State. And I'm just, this week I am in Tucson, Arizona. But I wanted to introduce everybody to Cory. He is like the behind the scenes world crypto network dude. He does the podcast stuff. So you're getting some special insight. He's making his debut, though, here on the panel. The other 3 guys you're familiar with, but he is awesome. So since he's the newbie of the group, I'm going to send the first question over to him. And that is, what did you do these last few days? What did you think about these last few days when there were people panicking and screaming about Bitcoin? It's the end of the world. The price is dropping. Did you have a strong hand? What do you think is behind all this? And what do you think the future is for Bitcoin? Take it away, Cory.
Honestly, I didn't really even notice much of anything going on this week because if you've been in Bitcoin for a while, these things come and they go. Pumps happen, dumps happen, and after a while, you don't really even notice anymore. This one was kind of significant, but only really because the price of Bitcoin had gotten so high. So to pull back to 13 to 15 where it's been bouncing today, to me, that's just par for the course. And no, you don't sell Bitcoin ever. You hold it forever. That's just how it goes. So that's pretty much what I did. I had a bunch of people calling me, panicking, freaking out, wondering what's going on. And I'm like, what do you mean what's going on? And I had to explain to so many people that this happens. And you want this to happen because you want the pullback. You want to be able to pick up more Bitcoin at a low price. And that's pretty much it. Bitcoin's going to continue to do this. I'm really looking forward to $100,000 Bitcoin when the swings are 10 and 20,000. Day traders like me will make a pretty penny when that happens while the rest of the world is freaking out. So no, it was not a big deal to me whatsoever.
Yes, I'm glad you had a strong hand this week. I can't see why people, this is going to be the biggest transfer of wealth, like in the history of modern man. People are going to get really wealthy from holding their Bitcoin. Why would someone get rid of that opportunity this week just because of one drop when there have been 4 or 5 similar drops percentage-wise this very year, just like this? I mean, it's as if 80% of the people out there are newbies. And they probably are. All right. So, Daniel, what do you think about all this stuff?
Well, I mean, at this point, I'm pretty just immune to it. I'm 100% in altcoins right now, which seem to be, beginning uptrend cycles. And, it's funny. It's, I had dinner with, lunch with family earlier, and they were like, oh, I bet you lost a bunch of money today, didn't you? And, I was like, well, it is down a little bit, but it's not profit or loss until you sell. And that's not something, that I, like our other panelists said, it's not something that I plan on doing, and not something that's necessary. When you consider the Bitcoin bubble, I mean, what are we, 600 billion cap total or something like that for all cryptocurrency-based assets? And we have a global phenomenon, and we have banking issues and inflation issues across the entire world. And then you compare it to the .com bubble, which had trillions of dollars in cap and was a domestic phenomenon. It's just unfathomable to at least completely cash out right now when there's so much potential upside left. And it's silly to be a top caller or even try to speculate on where this may go, because really the sky is the limit.
Well, thank you for your opinion, Daniel. And I wanted to say to everyone, everyone's links are below. All these guys, you can learn more about them. Their pertinent links are below, along with links to get discounts for your Trezor at the cryptohwwallet.com, and the link to the podcast that you might be listening to right now, the World Crypto Network podcast, all sorts of other awesome links. So what's going on in laid back California, Rocky? Where did you have a strong hand? Were people saying, is this the end of the world? What do you think about all this?
Well, first I'd like to say, pound that like button. And then, yes,
yeah,
I did have a strong hand. I did get a few phone calls from people a little bit worried. You know, I had to hold their hand a bit. But, you know, you got to remind people that when everything's good, everybody talks about buying the dip. And now here's this beautiful dip to buy. And everyone seems to forget that buy the dip thing. This was an opportunity to add to your Bitcoin stash. That's how I saw this.
Yeah, that is a very positive outlook. And, you know, you do have all these big talkers out there that are like, well, it's too expensive. If it ever drops, I'll buy it. Well, now here's your chance, people. Are you a doer or are you a talker? Hey, and speaking about, there's something I forgot to say about Daniel. If you're a veteran watcher of this show, there was a time when I said, there is a guy out there who's been on this show. He is like the best salesman in the freaking cryptocurrency space. One of these crypto dividends should hire the dude, especially one of these Chinese ones that, you know, they can't speak a word of English very well. They should hire a great salesman. And I didn't say who it was. Well, now, you know, they should hire you, man. One of these, B Diamond, if you guys are listening, get in touch with it. Now, I don't know if Daniel's going to want to do something like this, but he is like one of the greatest. He is one of the greatest salesmen in the cryptocurrency space. People loved you when you were talking Decred that one time.
Actually, Adam, I've actually been hired somewhere. It's an upcoming ICO. It's a good friend of mine is running it, and it's different. I'm really passionate about exercise and health, and it's called Jolt, and it's going to reward users for exercising. Essentially, and we're going to have partnerships with hardware manufacturers, you know, to where when you exercise, it'll actually log your exercise, and that'll be how you mine the cryptocurrency. And, you know, there'll be a whole interactive ecosystem. But, you know, it's still really in the early phases, but it's going to be really cool, and I'm excited about it just because I'm passionate about fitness and, you know, being in shape and stuff.
What did I say, people? Always be closing. He's always closing on that deal, baby. Look at him taking. I didn't know that was going to happen. I did. Pound that like button for unexpected. Always be closing. ABC. Okay, I'm no salesman. Shayne. First of all, Shayne actually, I think he thinks it's really awesomely cool if people are going to be able to exercise one day and make cryptocurrency off of exercising. But Shayne is into that type of, you know, just doing everyday things, earning cryptocurrency. He's a big dude on Steam It, and he will talk about that in a second. But Shayne, did you have to live in real life, man? You got a kid, a wife, your jobs are changing, you went back to school. There were times when you could not have a strong hand. Now, what did you think about this situation? But at the same time, tell us your real life experience about when the pressure comes, when you do sometimes feel the pressure to, you know, cash out.
Well, first of all, what is up, Adam? It's been a while. It's good to see you. It's good to be on the show again. Huh?
Shayne.
Am I not coming through?
Wait. Does everybody, who paused there? Does anyone... Can you hear me, everyone?
I can hear you. I'm not seeing a problem.
Then who paused? Shayne.
What?
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah, you get me.
Did you hear my question? Take it away.
You getting me? Okay. Well, I'm kind of like the others. I saw the dip happen. It didn't really. This is normal, you know. I mean, if somebody gets into Bitcoin or cryptocurrency in general, not expecting volatility, if you were surprised by this, then you need to do a little more research probably and look into what all this stuff is about. But yeah, in terms of actually living in real life, you know, I'm not. I do that, you know. I'm trying my own thing, and I have used Steam It, and I have actually not bought a Bitcoin since it was under $500 a few years ago, I've actually earned all of my Bitcoin through doing different kinds of work for people, or mostly through Steemit as well. So in that case, yeah, it's cryptocurrency actually helped me pay for school. It helped to support myself and my family when I was going through school. And, you know, that's kind of the real world area. I know a lot of people want to hold, and obviously I want to hold too, but there does come a time where this cryptocurrency rubber meets the road and it has an actual use case. It has a value in the real world. And for me, that translated into months of supporting myself and my family, and getting an education, learning how to code. So I'm very appreciative of cryptocurrency, very appreciative of Bitcoin, and I really look forward to these new technologies that are coming out that are using user-based or user-generated tokens, such as like exercising and mining and cryptocurrency. That kind of stuff that's where I see the future of cryptocurrency really going, in terms of just altcoins or perhaps sidechain type projects, with Bitcoin acting like the central bank of sorts for crypto that is the trust value system for everybody else.
Well said, well said. And you know what? You had to use the crypto because you had to get through school, but you are going to be a much sought after person when you've got your whole new skill set going. I mean, that type of thing that you're trying to be, that people need. They're in much demand right now.
Oh, totally. That's the push in the tech industry right now. I mean, people who work in blockchain, they get paid more on average than other people. I mean, they're looking for people. It's the major hiring area in technology right now, is blockchain technology. So anybody who's getting into coding, I really do recommend it, not just because it's my own personal passion, but because that's where you're going to see the most growth for yourself. And it's a super exciting area to be working in.
Yes, and ask to be paid in Bitcoin if you can.
Yeah.
So, but seriously, learn to code. It is people. They are they're sought after now. Okay, totally. And well, I forgot what else I was saying. You don't have to go to college for it. I mean, you can learn it on your own. You can learn it through how you. Yeah,
Code
what
Fellows
is that
right there? It's Code Fellows.
Okay.
Yeah,
there
that's
you
all
go.
I learned.
There you go, people. This is not about paying $60,000 a year to go to University of Arizona down the street there to party your butt off with the hot. Supposedly there's some hot ladies down there. I'm going to go check it out tomorrow. Oh, they're all on vacation now, but I heard they were like ranked some of the hottest ladies. I mean, if you care about those kind of things, remember, value your wealth in Bitcoin, not in hot University of Arizona women. But I am curious to see what's going on down the street there. I am doing my anyway. No, we don't. We want to stay on topic here. Pound that like button if you like when I stay on topic. All right. So real quick, everybody, it's 13,000 right now. I don't care about the price that much. What do you guys think the price is going to be at the start of 2018 on New Year's when the ball drops? Rocky, what do you think?
Oh, that's a tough one after the past few days here. I'd have to say higher. I think it's going to be higher.
That's a good answer. You don't have to give specific numbers. Cory.
It's going to be higher, but not much. I think there's a lot of confusion in the space right now for new people entering. So you never know what effect that might have on the short-term price. But I don't see anything higher than really 15, 16 for probably the next month or so. All
right, Daniel.
I would agree with Cory. Is that your name? I mean, it's that's a pretty good perspective in my opinion. You've got people selling off for Christmas gifts, people selling off for tax season. By the way, pay your taxes because you were going to be in big trouble if you don't this year. They're really coming after people. But yeah, it's not gonna probably make a new ATH before the end of New Year's. And you know, one really good indication of that to me is you see so many bullish trends starting in altcoins right now. And the last time that happened, you know, we kind of saw a sideways or consolidation phase for Bitcoin before it just went absolutely crazy. So in trading, there's something, you know, we call a fractal, which is kind of a repetition of a previous pattern that has occurred. And that's kind of what I see going on right now is this sideways consolidation. You know, altcoins will go up. Don't be greedy. Don't be a bag holder or a community member. You want to dump on everyone at the top when everyone's excited. Hold the Bitcoin, and 2018 should be a wonderful year for you.
All right, good prediction for 2018. Wonderful year ahead, perhaps. All right, Shayne, before you say what you think the price prediction is, you've been on the show many times. Didn't you give a Litecoin price prediction once? What was that price prediction you had for Litecoin a long time ago?
Yeah, I said $1,000 by the end of the year. I was kind of joking. I didn't expect it was going to get even anywhere as close as it did. But yeah.
Dude, that is like, basically you predicted it. I mean, back then, what was Litecoin, like $3?
Yeah, it was like $2, $3.
It was so ridiculous. So obviously, Shayne is the web bot. You should all worship him blindly and pay him lots and lots of money and call him Webbot because he predicts the future. And he also says aliens are going to land in Israel like the Webbot does. You know, he's just as reliable as the Webbot, as all you people who 80%ers who follow that. So you 80%ers follow, only listen to Shayne for that, not for that reason. Not because because he is a really super smart guy, but don't listen to him because of that. Listen to him because he made a crazy prediction and it sort of got right. Because, you know, 1,000 is kind of like 400. There's zeros there. You know, you just got to interpret the Magic 8 Ball's prediction a certain way. All right, so Shayne, what do you think? What do you think? What do you see for Bitcoin on New Year's Day? Is it going to be higher, lower? Any specific numbers? Anything?
I see it sticking around about what it is now. It could be a little bit higher, but like other people have said, there's a lot of new people jumping in on this who don't know what they're jumping in on. They hear about it. I mean, the amount of people I've heard just in my daily life who are talking about Bitcoin, and not just Bitcoin, but all sorts of other altcoins too. People who just wouldn't even know what Bitcoin was a year ago, all of a sudden know what Litecoin is, what Ripple is, what Dogecoin is. You know, all of a sudden it's just all out there and everybody's talking about it. So I think you're going to see a lot of people who are not prepared for volatility, even though they've been warned for years and years, and they can see the trends. They were not ready. They bought high, and then they're seeing the price go down, and they're going to freak out, which is probably good for the market overall.
Wow. Clearly, you are the web bot, and people need to pay you $50 for your newsletter that will be filled with complete nonsense and numbers that anyone can interpret. You are the web bot. Pound that like button. He is really the web bot because he's in Washington State with that crazy guy who says he's the web bot. You're both in Washington State. I mean, obviously, you're really him. The aliens took over his body and transferred him to you because that's the kind of stuff that you get when you believe in the web bot. You know, aliens turning into shape-shifting into Shayne and stuff like that. So, no, Shayne is awesome, but the web bot, yeah, you know my opinion about that. If you're a newbie,
I'm going to comment on that just for a second.
Please do.
We really need more people to call out scammers like Cliff High and their web bot, because that's just some scamming BS. And it's just so many people flooding to content like that. It's really.
Well, you know, it's people love doom stories. They love doom stories. This channel's not about the doom, baby. This is about real life positive, and sometimes real life can be kind of, it can be scary when the price drops like that. Okay, but no one can predict it. No one has a magic 8 ball. If you say ambiguous numbers, if you say 8888, sure, it's gonna go by 8888 once, and you'll be right. Yeah, sure. So while we're on the opinion, while we're talking about madness here, let's bring up Bcash, because Bcash had a wild pump, and King of the Trolls was on the TV, and everything seemed to go right for Bcash as if it was all coordinated. I mean, it's just amazing how this happened. But we saw it in November. We saw it in December. It will happen again probably. But Rocky, you've got some thoughts on Bcash here. So I'm going to let you take it because you wanted to speak about Bcash and people want to hear about Bcash. So Rocky, what's going on with Bcash?
Well, it's not a very good chain in my opinion. There's so many things about it that are bad. It's hard to know where to start. But let's start with developers. You know, they have a handful of developers, 5 or 6, what a lot of people call B-rated developers. Bitcoin has 120 of the best developers. Then there's the hash rate. Let me share a screen with you, and I can show you what I'm talking about. There we go. So here is a website that's showing the recent hash rate. I just refreshed the screen right before we went live. This is fork.ll. And if you go to the end here, so Bitcoin has 15.427 exahashes, and Bcash has 1.61 exahashes. So that's a big difference. Of course, hash rate gives the chain a lot of security. So then there's nodes. Nodes are very important. That actually runs the code. When you look at Bitcoin, it's got about 9,000 nodes, active nodes out there right now. And Bcash has 1,200. So there's a big difference there. And then there's the scaling issue. You know, their claim to fame is how fast and cheap they are. And that's what they really have there, is a very short-term solution to a long-term problem. I had a whole presentation that I could have given you that went into much more detail, but I'll try to just go through it quick here. To get worldwide mass adoption, you're going to need about 100,000 transactions per second if you're going to compete with the banks, with Visa card, MasterCard, all these transactions worldwide. You're going to have at least 100,000 transactions per second just to start off with. So Bitcoin right now has 1 meg block size plus SegWit, which gives it about 2 if everybody's using this SegWit transactions, and you can't do that now because not all the wallets have that option yet, but that's all coming. So right now with a 1 meg, most blocks are a little bit over 1 meg right now. They're about 1.05 to 1.1, most of them. But with about a 1 meg block size, you got about a 3 transactions per second limit, and a node would have to add, if all the blocks are full, a node would have to add a new 1 terabyte hard drive every 19 years. So when SegWit gets going full speed, it's going to have about a 2 meg block size with, so that's going to give us about 6 transactions per second, about 3 extra. And if all the blocks are near full, you'd have to add a new terabyte hard drive once every 9.5 years. Now, when SegWit really gets going and they add the Schnorr signatures, which kind of compresses the signature data, it's going to be a 3 to 3.8 meg block size, which is going to give us about 12 transactions per second. And if the blocks are mostly full, you'd have to add a 1 terabyte hard drive every 4.75 years. But that's SegWit. Now, that's Bitcoin the way it is now with SegWit running full speed and the Schnorr signature update. Now, what Bcash did was they just got rid of SegWit, the best update to Bitcoin since Bitcoin started. They just ripped that out and just gave it an 8 meg block size, which does start to possibly increase the orphan rate, which is bad. And that's just going to add another 12 transactions per second. And if these blocks are mostly full, which they're not because nobody's using that chain, but if they were, you'd have to add another 1 terabyte hard drive every 2.37 years. But you're still nowhere near that 100,000 transaction per second goal. So now if you keep going down my list here, I'm going to speed through this. We don't want to go through all this. It would take too long. So now with these block sizes here, you could see it's going to really start having a major issue with orphan rate, which is really bad. You're going to have to add a 1 terabyte hard drive to your node every 13.6 days when you get to a 512 megabyte block size. But you're still only at 1,500 transactions per second, nowhere near what you need for worldwide adoption. So let me go down a few more here. When it starts to get close here, you got 98,000 transactions per second. So that's real close to your goal, but you have a 32 gig block size that's going to take 1.4 hours to download for a node to download this. Then that node has to propagate that block to 4 or 5 other nodes. So that's about 7 hours processing time for a block that comes in every 10 minutes. Does anyone see a problem here? And you're going to have to add a 1 terabyte hard drive every 5 hours if these blocks are anywhere near full. So this is just, it's completely not doable. This is no way to scale. So let's go back.
It's not sustainable, but can't they just fork off and change all this stuff though? I mean, is that what's going to happen here?
You mean Bcash forking again?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, they could do whatever they want, but with a handful of B-rated developers, are you going to trust your hard-earned money to store your value on that chain? not me.
Exactly. Well, no, that's your point. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
exactly.
So they think
they're going to fork again, but yeah, keep going.
Yeah. They came up with the great idea, the EDA, right? That was another short-term solution to a long-term problem that really just created a bunch of inflation and is going to get them to the next halving much sooner than Bitcoin, which is going to cause a new host of a bunch of problems there. I could go into much more detail that if you want to, but again, time restraints. But so here's the summary of what, to get to the goal here with Bcash, just by, doubling the block size. Now with SegWit, the thing about SegWit is it fixed the malleability issue, which allows you to do, or makes it much easier at least, to do the side chains and second layer solutions. And the first side chain we're going to get is called RSK, which will start off giving us about 400 transactions per second and have a 10-second confirmation time. And then about a year after it starts, it's going to increase that transactions per second, that 400, to about 2,000. And it also adds Ethereum-like contracts. And then the first second layer solution would be the Lightning Network, which is able to do about 100,000 transactions per second with instant confirmations. So there's, with just those two, just the first side chain, not all the side chains that are coming, and the first second layer solution, not all the second layer solutions coming, with just these two additions to Bitcoin because of SegWit, we're beyond the initial goal of worldwide mass adoption with a cryptocurrency at 100,000 transactions per second, really more, about 102,000 transactions per second.
I want to clarify one thing here. SegWit, you believe, right now, let's go into a Bitcoin, because you're mentioning SegWit. People are complaining about the Bitcoin, the fees that everyone's paying. But if everyone did adopt SegWit, we wouldn't have this problem. SegWit is the solution to the problem that people are yelling about, correct, Rocky?
Yes, it's a solution, but it's not so immediate as just doubling the block size. Now, doubling the block size like Bcash did, everyone on that chain has to update all at once. That's what you call a hard fork. Now, SegWit was a soft fork. It's backwards compatible. So not everyone had to update. So all the wallets and stuff that don't support SegWit yet, those wallets still work. If SegWit was a hard fork and those wallets didn't update, they simply would not work. That's kind of the beauty of a soft fork, because you don't have to comply right away, but hopefully everyone's going to comply very soon, and we'll see the full effects of SegWit.
The thing that's really been, I'm going to hop in real quick. The thing that's been frustrating me the most is that the people who've been getting on CNBC and on TV saying that Bitcoin is slow and expensive are the people who are causing it to be slow and expensive. If companies like Coinbase would implement SegWit, we wouldn't have these high fees. I wouldn't be waiting 20 hours on a Bitcoin confirmation. So these people are basically, they're lying to you when they're telling you that Bitcoin is slow and expensive, because it's not. But the solution is in place. They're just refusing to move forward because they're more interested in lining their pockets with fiat than they are in helping the Bitcoin ecosystem grow. And that's the thing that it just kills me.
Yes, and I could add to that another thing, because when SegWit was implemented, SegWit then allows you to have up to 4 meg block size. Now, Roger, who's been screaming about larger blocks for the better part of the past 2 years, right, or if not more now, he's been screaming for larger blocks, but as soon as SegWit activated, he could have been mining larger blocks, and he refused to mine larger blocks for about 4 months. Then he started to sometimes mine larger blocks, but he never was very committed to it. And just very recently, he looks like he stopped mining Bitcoin altogether, which is good. And but it would have been nice to see the main person who was for larger blocks start mining larger blocks immediately, and that just didn't happen.
Because they don't care about block size. They really don't. I mean, this was about control of the Bitcoin protocol. They don't care about block size. They care about making money, and they care about hijacking control from what they perceive as an organization, which isn't an organization. The Bitcoin Core is a process. It's not a group. So basically, when you listen to Roger Ver and all these guys talk about big blocks, they're just straight lying to you. The block size debate is not about block size. It's about control, and that's what most people seem to fail to recognize still at this point.
Yeah, I still think it's about ASIC boost. If you look back quite a few months, I think it was the first or second time I was on Adam's show, I did a complete, very thorough presentation on what ASIC boost is and how it was affecting the situation. And that's why when SegWit2x came out, that proposal, I'm like, this thing's never going to fly. They don't want this. It has SegWit in it, and that breaks their ASIC boost. And sure enough, before it launched, it was canceled by a handful of people. By 6 people signing a paper, that project was canceled. Updates and bug fixes and things don't get implemented or canceled by a handful of people signing something. No, it's consensus in Bitcoin. You got to have consensus to make changes like that. That just shows how centralized that chain is, and that's just a very bad thing.
And that's another thing. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. And there's a very specific way that Bitcoin is upgraded. And it seems as though people who want to fork Bitcoin or make these block size changes, they just don't want to play by the rules of the system. They just want to create their own rules. And that's just not how the system operates. They'll never succeed trying to fork away or take a course of action that can be perceived by us as hostile.
Well, they are free to.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Looks like everyone's live but Adam.
Yeah, I think we lost him.
Daddy's gone. Everybody behave yourselves.
I'm going to make a comment here in general on these Bitcoin forks. I despise these Bitcoin forks. And Adam, while I love you to death, I do not really like this crypto dividend concept that you've been promoting. Basically, the way I see it is everyone who's been forking Bitcoin is doing a huge pre-mine. Bcash is the biggest pre-mine of any coin that's ever been. They just photocopied Bitcoin and said, we got 16 million of them. These guys pre-mine for their own self-gain. And then they basically, when you take your crypto dividend and you sell it, that's bribe money. They're saying, hey, forget the fact that we mined a bunch of coins for ourselves that we really don't care about, that we're going to dump for Bitcoin. Here's some crypto dividend for you, so you'll look the other way. I made a big mistake by selling my Bcash right away as soon as I could. In hindsight, I shouldn't have done that. I should have held it forever. Every single one of these crypto dividends is going to die with me, because as soon as you sell it, you're contributing to the circulating supply. And you're taking bribe money. So I'll never cash out one of these crypto dividends ever again, because to me it's not ethical if you support Bitcoin.
Here we go. Here we go.
In like clams, for instance, I mean, isn't
okay,
it?
So that's a fork of the code, right? They didn't fork the chain.
Sure.
Right. So
wait,
no. Clams was an airdrop to existing Bitcoin holders.
Right. Airdrops in general, I have another problem with, but for other reasons we can talk about another time. But if you come out and you call your coin Bitcoin X or Bitcoin Y, and you create a sort of crypto dividend, why didn't you do it the right way? Why didn't you gain community support? Why didn't you launch a Genesis block and call it something else, and then try to win on the merits, not the name?
Wait, guys, can you hear me? Am I back?
Yes.
All right. This is the Arizona. So the second I go away, Cory starts talking about crypto dividends, man. I can't even. Dude, it's free. It's free money. Don't complain. We got off on a side topic there. Okay. So Rocky, I was about to ask you conclusionary remarks about Bcash, and then everybody else chime in about Bcash.
Well, I don't like Bcash very much. I sold mine right away. I traded in for Bitcoin. I'm sorry, Cory, but I just saw. I don't particularly like all these forks. I get that. I think it fusion to the space. I'd much rather be without them. But if you're going to drop this currency in my lap, I'm going to turn it into Bitcoin. I mean, it's the same thing if you walked into this room and just dumped a bunch of euros in my lap. I'd convert that into Bitcoin or any other currency. Anytime I want to store value, I'm going to store it in Bitcoin.
All right. Now, specifically about Bcash, does anyone have anything to comment about the Bcash pump? It's obviously, it is very centralized when they can just change so fast. When someone says, oh, we're gonna have a hard fork, and they all hard fork, they all follow. Does anyone have any opinions on the Bcash?
It's junk. I think we all know that.
Simple as that. Shayne, anything?
it did look like there were some coordinated efforts out there to pump the Bcash while dump the Bitcoin. They did it at a particular time, after pumping up the difficulty on Bitcoin, and then there was a difficulty change, and then trying to pull miners off of Bitcoin to make the block times longer. And there was definitely a effort to spam the Bitcoin mempool. So yeah, it looked like a coordinated attack, but that's okay. Bitcoin's learning how to deal with all this, because it's better that Bitcoin works all this stuff out now before it really does become a worldwide mass adopted currency.
All right. So,
it seems as though there's always a coordinated spam attack on the mempool when Bcash pumps. Coincidence? I don't think so.
Yeah, there's no way. It's not a coincidence.
Daniel, Daniel, I have a question for you. What we're talking, Bcash now just appeared on Coinbase, and it created quite a ruckus. And there's a lot of controversy with Coinbase now. Insider trading, they're being accused, all sorts of things. What's your experience with Coinbase? You've got a Coinbase story to tell.
Yeah, actually, and I've spoken about this at length on Twitter. If any of you guys follow me at Crypto Messiah, but I've actually used Coinbase for a long time without issue. All of my friends use Gemini, and they've been begging me to switch over. But I'm stubborn, so I was like, well, Coinbase hasn't caused me any trouble. I'll just stay there until I have issues. I've made several wire transfers to my bank account from selling Bitcoin. I sell all the way up and still have more. So don't hate. Bills need to be paid, and this is my job. But I made a wire, just a general wire transfer to my bank, and it never showed up. And I spoke with the wire department at my bank, and they never saw the wire. And I requested a wire receipt from Coinbase to prove that the wire transfer was actually, made from their part, because they deducted thousands of dollars from my Coinbase account when the wire transfer was made. Now, this was on November the 27th. And after 20 days of having a support ticket open, requesting a wire receipt and asking where my money was, they closed my ticket and sent me just a generic email that was totally unrelated to the issue I was having. And I've reopened my ticket now. So I don't think Coinbase is sketchy. I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm sure they have their ducks in order. But with that being said, I mean, the growth this space is seeing right now is putting a huge load in all of the infrastructure, on the exchanges, and the chain itself. At this point in time. And I'm sure I'll get my money at some point, but my user experience at Coinbase has just been absolutely atrocious. And, I've been in crypto for almost 5 years now, and I've never been treated like that anywhere I am. So for now, I'd recommend staying away. I mean, it's not the only option. There's better options. I don't think that if you have your money there, it's just going to disappear. I mean, that's one of the most regulated Bitcoin exchanges probably in the United States, and that says something. And I'm pretty sure they are probably in cahoots with the government more than any other exchange in the States. But just if you do have issues at Coinbase, don't expect them to be resolved anytime soon. I mean, it really has been a nightmare, and I needed that money, and I don't have it. So there you go.
There's a real life story there, everyone. Pound that like button, because I haven't said that line in a couple minutes. But seriously, there are problems at Coinbase right now. They are not implementing SegWit. There are a bunch of theories involved why they're not. That they've got a bunch of Bitcoin that they can't access because they stored it in a way where if they tried to move it, the transaction fee would be higher than the value of the Bitcoin, which is not a good situation. Does anyone else have anything else to say about Coinbase, real quick? Anyone?
I had a couple people try to buy Bitcoins on Coinbase with a new account this week, and all of them were shut down, put on week-long delays, or given a limit of like $300. So getting Bitcoin for new people is difficult.
Well, I mean, do any of you have opinions on how they just? Well, first of all, they didn't give people their Bcash right away. Now all of a sudden they're they were selling Bcash. Does anyone think that's odd or interesting or have an opinion on that? Shayne, you haven't spoken for a while. Anything?
It seems weird. I'm just gonna I'll say it. All of a sudden, there was a Bitcoin Cash, and it was in green, and it was at the top of the charts on Coinbase, and I got a screenshot of it when it shot up to apparently 8,500, and posted about that on Steemit, and I was thinking, man, what the hell is going on here? Like this is extremely strange, and it's going to cause a lot of chaos in the broader market. And I mean, that's what we're seeing now. I'm thinking that combined with the futures stuff has got people really confused.
Yeah, good point. It did. There were a lot of people I noticed on Twitter where all of a sudden, like, oh, Bcash is the biggest thing, and then a few hours later, they're like, oh, it's not worth as much as it. What just happened? I mean, a lot of newbies got confused, to say the very least. But apparently, Coinbase is really getting into this altcoin thing. It might be a way to help. I'm not going to use the word bail them out, but increase revenue. And so Ripple all of a sudden started to pump on these rumors that it is the next one to be listed. Now, Ripple is like a centralized cryptocurrency. I mean, this is going to the dark side here. Have you guys heard anything about Ripple being listed on Coinbase? Do any of you have an opinion on what Coinbase is going to list next time around on what's the next one going to be? Is it going to be Ripple? Are people going to catch the rumor beforehand and do some insider trading?
It's probably going to be Ripple, and at $1.12 or whatever it is now, anybody who buys Ripple now is going to get wrecked for real. That is not going to continue to go up. It's what, a $25 billion market cap or more. It's a joke. There's no way it's sustainable, and it's going to pull back just like everything else. And that's my opinion on Ripple.
Daniel, do you think that the Koreans can sustain the price of Ripple, or will it drop?
Yes, I think the price can be sustained, and not only sustained, but put at levels that are going to make people even more uncomfortable. And people are going to get wrecked, but people are going to get wrecked on every altcoin. You know, it's just how it works. You know, there's nothing wrong with riding the waves. But you know, the reality is, you know, being here almost 5 years and thinking so many things are the next Bitcoin. I mean, Earthcoin was the next Bitcoin. You know, and Blackcoin was the next Bitcoin, and I mean, every Dogecoin was the next Bitcoin, you know, because it was so much more appealable to the masses, you know, was the argument. Nothing's the next Bitcoin, and altcoins exist to get more Bitcoin generally. I mean, there are some exceptions. I think the blockchain as a service industry has some exceptions. One of my favorites, Arter, is kind of tackling scalability issues that currently apply to Ethereum. And you'll see some big caps emerge from that space. Lisk, you know, kind of platforms, so to speak. But the reality is, you know, that Bitcoin can do, or will be able to do, just about everything that these altcoins are doing. And if your altcoin feature can be ported to Bitcoin, which has a much larger exposure, which has a much better brand recognition, which has staying power, which has liquidity, why would you expose yourself to an altcoin long term? It doesn't make sense. So, you know, you generally just want to buy the blood, you know, buy people's tears, and just hold. And, you know, with these altcoins right now, like we were talking about earlier, while Bitcoin consolidates, all you have to do is wait until you go to CoinMarketCap. You know, like at a day like today, everything's totally red across the board. You come in and you buy, and then you just walk away. You know, people ask me how many trades I make a month. You know, I tell them 3, maybe 4, maybe 10 if it's a crazy month. But this shouldn't be something that's stressful if you're doing it right. And it shouldn't be something that's hard if you're doing it right. So shoot, you know, when you look at things like Ripple, yeah, I can't cuss. It's garbage. I have been known to use a filthy word or two. It is garbage. You know, nobody likes it because it's completely against all the principles of cryptocurrency that we all love, right? Decentralized control. I mean, honestly, everything about it. But with that being said, I mean, there is a place for Ripple to exist. Now, the real question is, you know, while the token may have utility, does the token have value as well? And that's something I feel like, when this bubble does burst, it's going to be a harsh reality for a lot of people, because, the blockchain is amazing and all of this technology is amazing, but do the tokens, they can exist forever, but do they have this absurd value? And that's something, we'll find out.
Yeah, a very good point. I wanted to, real quick, Dershop just sent $5 over the super chat, and he has a question for Rocky. Actually, can Rocky post that presentation somewhere? Can you post that somewhere? I was going to ask you that same question, Rocky. That presentation that you went to there for a second.
I think I did. I think I actually did that on another YouTube channel a few months ago. I will look that up and get that to you, and you can put it in the show notes.
Okay, so but it's a PowerPoint presentation, isn't it? So I mean, maybe
no,
it's not. Okay, I didn't know what I did. It looked like, okay. So you did it on someone else's show. We can link to that show, basically. Okay. That I think that'll answer Deshop's needs, because I was interested in the entire thing, but we're limited for time here. All right, let's. We just brought up a random Ripple. Does anyone have a prediction? We'll start with I don't know, Cory. You know about a little bit about what is going to be the next altcoin flavor of the month, Cory? Because that's what this is all about. I mean, I get asked and by the way, I am not recommending anyone trade. In fact, I am just buy and hold Bitcoin, but we have other guys on here who do other things. So it's a diverse crowd. So they're going to say things that I don't do that they do. But Cory, what do you think is the next altcoin flavor of the month? Ridiculous one.
I'll try to sum this up quickly as possible. In general, I'm a Bitcoin maximalist to the fullest, but I completely see that there are certain functions in the crypto space that Bitcoin just doesn't need to do. Like I completely see a need for a platform like Ethereum to function aside from Bitcoin, because Bitcoin just doesn't need to be bogged down with crypto kitties and junk, right? So, and as far as that goes, I see the need for another platform. And as far as that goes, it's Neo all the way. Neo is far superior a platform to Ethereum. And once China unveils all their plans, Neo is going to go 10x easy. And besides that, the only other category of coin I find really is deserving of existence are the first layer privacy coins, and that's going to be Monero. So if you ask me, the only coins anybody should hold is Bitcoin, Neo, and Monero. And that's it.
Very, very interesting. Okay. So who's got another one to chime in there? Daniel, you've mentioned something beforehand. Is there any other one? Do you think there's going to be a ridiculous flavor of the month one that everyone's going to jump on the bandwagon on and then just crash, or is that hard to predict?
Yeah, I absolutely think so. If I had to predict, like I said, it's going to be, blockchain as a service platforms. Neo is one of those. My favorite is Arter, just because Jellurita is probably one of the best development teams there is in cryptocurrency. I think they have a lot of integrity. They have real business partnerships. They have when Arter launches, they're going to have pegged child chains to US dollar, euro, which implies bank partnerships. I think the platform in the child chain concept, could be really large. And that's excellent for scalability. And then another category that I don't think many people are talking about is low fee coins. One of my favorite is Byteball right now. And yeah, the name it's garbage. It sucks. But the chart looks fantastic. I love buying things that look like that. There's a lot of upside. It's like 0.03, 0.04 Bitcoin right now, but it's a tangle. It's a directed acrylic graph, and it's I love unique technologies. I love things that are totally different. And that's originally when I was on your show, Adam, I was here for Decred, and I still think Decred's an amazing coin, but I loved it because it was unique. It had really solid development. And just from a fundamental standpoint, I think if you invest right in really solid development, that you can't go wrong. And that's something I see with Byteball. Really cheap, instant transactions or near instant, but really low fees, decentralized storage, smart contracts. I mean, it does it all. And my specialty, at least, is mid caps. $100 million to maybe we can even say $500 million capitalizations right now, because I love something that can go to a $1 billion cap, because I think with the way the space is going right now, that's an easy thing to do. And that's, if you can get a decent bag size and 5x, it could be quite lucrative for you. So that's kind of my opinion. Or Ray Blocks, right? IOTA, although I heard it's totally broken, but I don't have any personal experience with it. Things like that.
IOTA totally broken. Yeah, be careful, people. Be careful. Buy and hold Bitcoin. Shayne, are there any ridiculous altcoins you would like to speak about?
I don't really get too much into altcoins. I mean, I'll use a coin if I find it useful. For some reason, people have paid me for things in Ethereum, so I have some Ethereum. But normally, what I've found, well, have we talked about Steam dollars?
No, talk about what's going on with these ridiculous Steam dollars. How it's pumped up so high. Have you benefited from this insane pump of Steam dollars?
Oh, of course I have. I had a payout that was coming out just before it happened, and I saw, it's supposed to be pegged at $1, right? That's the whole idea, is that it's pegged on $1 US. And what did it get up to? Almost $14,
15, something like that. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was, along with all the other pumps. It actually started happening a little sooner than some of the others. I think it was kind of a harbinger of the big push, but that was something I was not expecting. And the Steam currency, the other one, Steam, actually, not the Steam dollars, they went up too. I mean, those quadrupled in value within like a week or so. So I think I'm not really too. I don't think Steam dollars or Steam need to have massive gains to be something that's useful or something that people should look at, because that one's based on a platform where you're actually able to get into crypto without buying anything. You can just engage with a network and you can actually get something out of it. So I think that process itself is rather undervalued. And I think once we see more development in that space, which I think we're going to see a lot of development coming out of that. We have things like DTube coming out, like a replacement for YouTube, where people can post videos, and it's related to the Steemit blockchain. There's stuff like Zapple, which is like a Twitter for Steemit. And with all the censorship we're seeing going on things like Twitter and Facebook and Reddit and all the legacy tech firms, I mean, you're going to see a lot of people looking seriously at things like Steemit and Zapple and DTube as legitimate alternatives, because they're just going to get kicked off because they said something that the stockholders of Twitter didn't like. So I think that's going to be with that, the censorship going on an uptrend and controversial voices leaving. I think you're going to see things like Steemit and maybe even Steam-backed dollars still. You might see a big boost in that.
Well, I definitely agree with the Steemit part. People should try out Steemit. It doesn't hurt. It's free. If you got content, throw it up there, see what you earn. Now, Rocky he's not an altcoin guy at all. But I have and if you want to mention altcoin, Rocky, feel free to. But I have a different question for you.
Well, I did just say that I think these signs speak for myself here. Just buy Bitcoin. Okay, just hodl Bitcoin. Okay,
exactly.
To be said.
Now, but in the times when the crypto dividends were coming out, when Bcash was coming out, you were the most careful person I knew about on the web when it came to splitting your Bitcoin. You take precautions like no other, and people should use you as an example of patience and precaution. So this is a two-part question. Have you split your B gold yet? And have you gotten rid of it? Have you dumped your B gold? But what is your take on these ones that are going to come out, like Super Bitcoin, like B or Super BTC, excuse me, or B Platinum? What is your process here? Tell everyone the precautions that you take. Are you just going to wait till it's on your Trezor, which I say to do, of course? And if you can split it on your Trezor, what do you do? Because I think you're a guy who splits it, but you make sure all your Bitcoin is moved when you split it. So there's a lot to talk about there. Hit it.
Yes, you got to make sure you're doing it safely. Just in case you do make some kind of mistake, you got to move your Bitcoin first. But it also depends on what process it is to split the coin. Like what you were talking about, where you have to put your wallet words in a different wallet that that is connected to a different chain, I mean, do you trust that wallet that it doesn't transmit those words to, you know, the creator of that wallet? Right, yeah, you don't want to trust that. So you have to move your Bitcoin first to a brand new wallet with a brand new set of wallet words. Yes, you have to be very careful. But yes, I did split my B Gold and I converted it to Bitcoin. I did the same thing with Bcash. I did the same thing with Bitcoin, or what's it called? Bitcore coin.
Yeah.
And the diamond and all the future ones, you know, if I feel I could do it safely, I will do the same thing. I don't, you know, so much hate these other coins like, you know, Bcash, you know, because it's not just trying to fork it and start a new project. It's trying to take over Bitcoin and attacking Bitcoin in the process. So that's a completely different situation. But, you know, like I said before, all these forks, I think, are a bad idea just to begin with. But if you're going to throw these coins in my lap, I will, you know, convert them to Bitcoin. And also one other thing, people say that, well, I converted my Bcash right away and it went up after that to a much higher value. But if you converted your Bcash into Bitcoin and now there's these other forks, you're getting more of those forks too. So you're getting the forks compounded on forks. So you got to factor in all these things too. But
exactly, you got more B Gold. If that was a beautiful point. I think I brought that up. I meant to bring it up before. But continue. Sorry.
Yes, you got to be very careful. And I do also consultations like you, where I do help people split their coins. I help people with their mining operations. I've been mining since January 2014, and I help people set up nodes. So just shoot me an email.
Yeah, exactly, guys. And he takes some real precautions when it comes to this splitting. One final splitting question for you, or a storage question. I have recommended to people they at least, if they're going to get into this crypto dividend thing, that they should at least own 3 storage devices. Is that too many or is that too little? Do you agree with that number? 2, 3, 1? What's your recommendation for storage devices for people?
Well, you need at least one hardware wallet to store your Bitcoin. Now, if you're planning on doing these splitting, it is, you know, to do it safely, it is a good idea to have 2 or maybe even 3. I myself have 3 hardware storage devices, and I have right over here off camera, you can't see, I have several computers that are completely cold offline that I use to safely split coins. So to make sure anybody I'm helping to split their coin, once they've moved their Bitcoin, I can then split to that other coin extremely, you know, safely.
Excellent. I've got, so for the panel here, I got a, and I'm going to ask the 3 of you this same question here, and you don't have to answer it, but some people, it's privacy stuff. But Cory, how many storage devices do you own?
I have 2 that are functional for long-term storage, and then I have 1 that I use for kind of like bouncing money in and out short-term. I try to avoid web wallets, and I avoid things like Exodus wallet. Those things are just junk. So Trezor, Ledger, that's pretty much it. And you got to have at least 2 or 3.
Daniel, how about you? What's your recommendation? How many do you have? Daniel, oh, you're muted. Daniel.
I'm here. I was muted. I don't know, just have a Trezor or something. One thing I recommend, of course, is using some kind of a crazy random password generator. I've been using 1Password, which is a really good service. You have a kind of like a master password. This is just something outrageously long that you think of, that you write down, and it kind of creates a really long random passwords for all your different services, and make sure you have different passwords for everything. I know some people use maybe it's called KeyPass or something like that. There's definitely some open source ones available that don't cost any money, and they're publicly auditable. But yeah, I mean, I have a Bitcoin or a Trezor for long-term Bitcoin hold, and I'll be in altcoin positions, and the ones that I can move off exchange, I do, and the ones that I can't, I leave them on. Which is, I understand it's a risk, but it's a risk traders take. You have that counterparty element where, if the exchange goes down, you do as well. It's all factored into risk reward. And that's generally why I stick to Bittrex. I see a lot of people going to, what's it called? Binance. Yeah. And it's, it kind of sketches me out just because, I mean, I didn't even go to Bittrex for a year or two. I mean, they hadn't earned my trust. And, you know, in this space, trust is the most valuable thing you can see. And, you know, I see all these people coming up and everybody's on Binance right now because Binance has ref links. And everybody's clicking these referral links and everybody's getting on Binance, and and Binance has cheaper fees. But isn't Binance also Chinese? Isn't it associated with China in some way, or maybe not? I think it is. That scares me. So, you know, try not to have any coins on exchange if you can help it. You know, keep your Bitcoin in a Trezor or ledger. But, you know, if you have to, use 2FA, use Google Authenticator or Authy. Do not use SMS, and have an extremely long random password that's not used anywhere else. And, you know, you still could get hacked. It happens. Just know that.
Be careful, people. All right, Shayne, how about you? Do you have a lot of storage devices? Do you recommend the multiple storage devices? What's your story with storage devices?
Well, I don't know what's wrong with the rest of you guys. I just keep everything on Coinbase. No, I've got a keep key. You know, if I ever get around to it, I might get a different one. I'm not sure, but that one's I like it. It works fine for me. But yeah, I've just got the one. But yeah, I think it's definitely advisable to have a hardware wallet. Learn how to use one.
Yeah. All right. So now we're at the end of the show here, where everyone is gonna tell a story or something that was left out or promote themselves, whatever. It's free time for these four men of this week in Bitcoin. So we will start with the manliest of all the men, Rocky. Come on, man. What do you have to add? Is there anything that was forgotten? Any story you need to tell? The floor is yours.
Well, I'd just like to let everyone know that if you're in the Southern California area, you could come to one of my meetups. I've been doing meetups now for 16 months, once a month. And the next one is going to be January 3rd. I know it says question marks there, but it is going to be January 3rd. I have a banquet room reserved. So on this screen here, you can see that I track every meeting and the price of Bitcoin at each meeting. You can get more information by going to the website here, which is btcmeetups.webstarts.com.
Excellent. Southern California, baby. I got to come visit. It's warm and nice there. That's what I like this time of year. All right. Cory, representing the World Crypto Network behind the scenes crew. I'm glad you're here in front of the scenes today. What do you have to add?
Well, this week, the one question I've gotten more than anything else is, should I continue to buy Bitcoin even though it's so high, or should I start putting money into things like Litecoin? And my answer will always be buy Bitcoin. All of these alts eventually, I believe you will see collapse back into Bitcoin. You'll see a kind of a bubble within the cryptosphere pop. We have what, let's say a $600 million or $600 billion. Is that right? That sounds so high. A $600 billion market cap. Now you're going to see this altcoin bubble pop, but all that money is going to flow right back into Bitcoin. So you're not going to see an overwhelming decline in the cryptocurrency market cap as a whole, but you're going to see these altcoins just shrivel away to nothing. You're going to see an 85, 90% Bitcoin dominance once again. So if you're dabbling with altcoins, be smart and know when to get out.
All right. Pound that like button, everyone. Check out the link section below. Follow me on Twitter at TechBalt. I had forgotten to say that. And Steam It. I am Bitcoin Meister on there. Speaking of Steam It, Shayne, say who you are on Steam It and give us your final thoughts.
Yeah, I'm Shayne on Steam It. Should be pretty easy to find. Just my name, Shayne. Yeah, I got in there pretty early, so pretty happy about that. But I actually have a tweet that I'm looking at by Naval. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it, Naval on Twitter, who, if you're into cryptocurrency and you're not following this guy, you really need to check him out and follow him. He says, cynicism is easy, mimicry is easy, optimistic contrarians are the rarest breed. So, I mean, I got into Bitcoin, I mean, shortly after the whole Mt. Gox thing, because I saw the technology and I thought this is going to be something. So you really have to be that contrarian voice sometimes, against yourself even. And don't flip out, don't panic sell. Usually if you look at the charts and you see all the top cryptos, they're all doing the exact same thing. To me, that's a sign that I need to put my hands up and just wait a little while.
All right, there's nice words by Shayne there. Well, since we are closing, we got to go to the guy who is always closing. Always be closing, Daniel. What do you have to add to this?
Buy altcoins. It is alt season right now. It's unprecedented. Just the absurdity of the pumps that are coming. You have all of this money rushing in, and you have people that have no business making any money. They're going to start making absurd amounts of money. They're going to tell their friends, and their friends are going to tell their friends. And you're just going to see this flood of capital into altcoins. And, you're kind of seeing it right now when, when John McAfee or however you say it is Twitter pumping all of these coins right now. Verge burst, which I fortunately held when he mentioned. It really is absurd. But holding altcoins right now, you really can't do wrong. I mean, every chart you look at is a good chart to buy. And it's something that, a trader like myself gets excited over. And it's also a hedge against Bitcoin losing value. It's a way to keep the USD value or fiat value of your portfolio stable. And I know guys last alt season that made 40x, 100x on their portfolios. And it's not to say everybody can or will do that. There is a lot of risk associated with what I'm talking about. But risks do not come, or rewards do not come without risk. So get in altcoins. And people always ask me what my investment process is, and it's fundamentals before technicals. Fundamentals are, the inner workings of what you're buying, why you should buy it, and the technicals are, when you should buy it. So find a good project, and I'm not going to tell you what project you should find. Find something you identify with that sounds like a really good project, that sounds like it's technical and it's not just hype, and then buy it. You're not going to go wrong right now. Don't be the last guy to sell. If you find yourself getting euphoric and you just can't believe how much money you're making, it's probably time to dump it. So just keep that in mind, and good luck.
Dude, you just heard some stuff here that you'll never hear on this channel from my mouth, but that is what This Week in Bitcoin is all about. We've got all sorts of people with all sorts of opinions on here, and I know those people in the chat are going crazy when they hear their favorite altcoin mentioned, because Adam never mentions their favorite altcoin. Okay, before we leave, Rocky does have one more thought to add. What's up, Rocky?
Yeah, about holding your Bitcoin, people always ask, how long should I hold it? And, you always say, like, to at least 2020. You might want to change that to 2021. Sometimes after the halving, it takes a few months for the price to really kick in. But at the moment, I'm kind of thinking, never sell your Bitcoin. Just keep buying it, amass your fortune. And when Bitcoin really starts to get used at what it was meant to be, a worldwide mass adopted currency, just use your Bitcoin. Never sell it. Just use it when it's accepted everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Very good point. I'm planning my hardest. Never sell. Never sell. I do preach that. And so if you guys can never sell, then yeah, you'll get to a point where it is so many people will be accepting it. You can buy your house with a 0.01 Bitcoin or whatever. But again, you'll have to pay taxes on it and everything at that point. Maybe they'll change the tax policy. That's another reason to hold on to it as long as possible. Maybe the whole tax policy will be changed. Right now, as Daniel said at the beginning of the show, if you've been selling Bitcoin, you've been trading Bitcoin, you're going to be paying taxes on April 15th on it, okay? But maybe in the year 2028, things will be different, and you won't have to do that. So have a strong hand, people. I hope you enjoyed This Week in Bitcoin. Thank you, guests, for appearing on the show. Remember, I'm Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, Disrupt Meister. Remember to subscribe to this channel, like this video, share this video. Do check out the notes section below. Pound that like button. We'll be back here next week. I post a new show here every day. Check out the link section to see the last couple of shows. They've been pretty wild. So see you, everyone. Bye-bye. Take care.